Awesome stuff there with Rory, Mark. I mean, it was another great performance by Rory McIlroy at TPC Sawgrass. But in general, what impressed you the most about Rory's performance this past week?
Obviously, his ability to come out Sunday and start making birdies. He knew he had to, and he started early and made a huge move early on Sunday. And I think that's kind of what impresses me the most is the fact that he knew he had to go low to get back in this tournament and chase down on top of the leaderboard and apply pressure to the guys that were ahead of him. And he was able to do that. The other thing that impresses me is his opening tee shot in the playoff at 16. Considering he missed it right coming down the stretch on Sunday, he missed it right on 14, missed it right on 16. When I was with him at Pebble Beach and I had got to follow him for the last 36 holes, the last 54 holes really at Pebble Beach, and then have another interview with him in his winning interview on the green at Pebble, just like we did here at the Players. It was a different Rory. You and I were like gushing over these 30-yard power fades that he hit all day. And, he's been back and forth with different equipment setups. And this week, he hit a lot of draws this week. And he was able to pull it off at some time. And sometimes he wasn't. He was able to do it under pressure on 16. But Adam, I am left so confused by this win, to be honest with you, in the sense that this is a guy who dominated Pebble Beach. This is a guy who won the flagship event of the PGA Tour this week. And I don't know if I feel confident about him moving forward because you should. But I think about stuff like was unable to make a par in the playoff. He made birdie, bogey, bogey. I think about the tee shot on 18. I mean, last night, he hit iron off the tee on 18 and left himself a very long way in. This morning, that wind flipped and it was right in his face. I understand he couldn't have hit the same iron. But to take driver and just blast it through the fairway on the right and jail yourself, there's just weird, confusing things going on. So as often as I am impressed with Rory and my mind is boggled that he can play the game at a level that nobody else can, as often as that side of Rory I've seen this year with my own eyes, I have just as often seen the opposite, where he leaves you scratching your head and shaking your head. And that is the mystery of Rory McIlroy. And that is the piece of the puzzle as to why it's been 10 years without a major. Now, this is pretty
Yeah.
close. So is this the step needed to then get over that next hump?
Yeah, 100%. And we're going to have a lot of Rory McIlroy talk heading into 3 weeks from now at Augusta National for the Masters, looking to complete that career Grand Slam. And Mark, this really was a different win for Rory McIlroy. In Thursday's first round, he only hit four fairways. He looked absolutely lost off the tee, but his putter really carried him and helped him to victory. And something you said last week with Graham and Bob really made a lot of sense. And I'm curious how he brings that strategy into the Masters, where you guys talked about how you'd like to see Rory McIlroy hit more three woods off the tee. He can hit 180 miles per hour of ball speed pretty easily with a three wood and turn it over easier too. So you got to think that shot, and I mean the tee shot we saw as well in the playoff hole on the 16th hole, would work wonders at Augusta come 3 weeks from now.
It's so funny you brought this up, Adam, because as I was watching him struggle on Sunday, keep it in the fairway coming home, if I was in Rory's camp, I spent so much time with him this year. I think I'm this close to being in Rory's camp. He laughed when I walked on the green. He goes, "Oh, we get to do this again." He said that before the interview started. So I said to him, I said to myself, if I was in Rory's camp, especially getting ready for Augusta, I would add, this is going to sound funny, but I would add a few more grams of weight to the toe of his LS driver.
Uh-huh.
And if he wanted to stay with his QI10, I would add a few more weights to the toe of that driver and make it even more of a fade bias than whatever the current setup he has. I would make it even more of a fade bias to where it forces him to just hit the shot that we saw at Pebble Beach with the driver. And it's an exclusive left to right ball flight. And I would then force him to go, okay, when you need a draw, you have to hit three wood now because we've set up your driver to where it only goes left to right. Now, Phil Mickelson back in 2006 won the Masters with a draw driver and a fade driver. And the draw driver was 1 inch shorter with a couple degrees closed and some interesting weighting. And the fade driver was 1 inch longer, the degrees open with some different weighting. This is a similar type of thing. I think when Rory gets stuck in the middle with that driver, now again, he pulled it off in the playoff beautifully, but that's not, one under pressure is not a given, right? Any thoughts on this? I mean, do you like the concept of what I'm suggesting?
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. And I mean, we're seeing more and more players either tinker with 7 woods or tinker with these mini drivers, borderline 2 woods. And even Rory was talking about in the previous setup, when he arrived at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, that he wanted a 3 wood that was a little stronger, that could carry out to 290, 300 yards. That's certainly fascinating. And we know Rory McIlroy is going to make one more start before the Masters, very likely at Houston, is what he said after his win on Monday. But before we go to break here, Mark, I mean, Scotty Scheffler, world #1. What do you think? Can Rory McIlroy perhaps get even closer to chasing down Scotty Scheffler for world #1?
It's going to take like a huge run, and you also have to assume that Scotty Scheffler is going to stay in this rut for longer than we think. I don't think that's happening. I think he's looking frustrated. I think he's going to keep working harder. The putter is still not good. It's going to be interesting to see, but I don't think Scotty's going to win soon. It's just a matter of time. I still think he's going to win at Augusta. I really do. But yeah, the gap's getting closer. And at the end of the year, I mean, if Rory McIlroy's got 5 wins and Scotty Scheffler's got 4, Rory McIlroy in everyone's mind is going to be the player of the year, regardless of what the official golf rankings say. And to your point, Adam, before we go to break, quickly about the 3 wood going further. On Saturday, I think it was Sunday. On Sunday, Rory kind of showed this field, I can do things that the rest of you can't. On the 9th hole, he hit an iron off the tee and to a fatter part of the fairway, intentionally leaving himself longer for the second into the par 5, 300 yards. He flew 3 wood to the green. I said to Fred Albers, who I was working with this week on our radio team, and Will Haskett, I said, you know what that is, guys? They're like, what? I go, that's the Mo Norman. You hit the wedge first, then the driver, and you still win the hole. That's the Mo Norman. Something special.
Oh, that's a great reference for sure. And as we head to the Masters, all eyes will be on Rory McIlroy as he looks to complete the career Grand Slam. McIlroy picks up his second PGA Tour victory of the season.